What if Naruto had a personality split down the middle? One that could be good, nice, and caring, while the other is cruel, evil, and so on. At first, it would only be thought for this to alter his personality, but in fact, this would alter the story of Naruto, giving us both a good and evil side to the beloved main character. And with this, we grant the return to the long-awaited What If Naruto Had Multiple Personalities Part 4. I know it had taken a long time for me to re-release this series as I had been taking a break from uploading on this channel. But I have returned and I will be finishing this series soon. So if you want to be kept up to date with this channel and every video posted, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification. And without further ado, roll that intro.
Shake it like your feet, hold the drive. Coming through now. Coming through now. Coming through. Watch where you going, hold the drive.
The leaves of a tree would rustle as a man would jump from a branch. Almost falling over his own feet, he has no choice but to land on the ground. And as he does, even though a stumble occurs, he would be quickly to make his footing again, as he would continue to run. But why is he running? Following him is a man in a black cloak, and as soon as we get to see what we would normally assume to be his face, we see a mask resembling some sort of bird, indicating that this person is in fact an Anbu. With this person lays chase as they would also accompany the ground. But as they do, the individual that had been running from them would all of a sudden be defended by a large man easily reaching 8 foot, with a really muscular build. One could say that he's maybe a giant. He would swing down a giant sword, obviously one of the great variety, as he would think he's about to slash the Anbu in half, as they did not even attempt to dodge. But with this, another Anbu would intercept. They have an equally large blade that is rather famous. This blade is known as the Executioner's Blade, and is currently being wielded by an Anbu in a white cloak with a panther mask. As the other individual would run by, he would say, "Thanks, Panther," as Panther would reply, "No problem, Crow. Just get going," as Crow would continue their pursuit. But as Crow would close the gap on his target, he would find them to already be unconscious, and along with their unconscious body is someone sitting on their head. That's rather strange, is it not? Crow would look over as he said, "There's no time for messing around, Fox. We need to go help Panther," as they would pick up the man, Fox throwing it over his shoulder, as they would start returning to the area they had left Panther. As they arrive, they see a rather interesting bout. The man's sword had been cut in half from a clash with Panther, as she is now beating him with the hilt of the Executioner's Blade. She seems rather sadistic, or at least these days, with them telling her to calm down. But as if she wasn't hearing them, she would continue. With this, Fox, who had been carrying the man, would simply disappear, leaving the man in the hands of Crow. Upon reappearing, blue chakra-like claws would appear over his arm as it would spread to the rest of his body. Long fox-like ears would spread from his head as a single flowing tail would come from behind. But unlike you might think, this isn't the red chakra that usually encompasses characters' Jinchuriki variety, but instead a bright blue. And along with this transformation, a single slash across the man's chest would end his life. He would tell Panther to clear up and stop making her victims suffer, as their job is to be efficient. She would at first giggle as she would proceed to drag the man's body into the forest line, off of the clear path they had been on, where she would start chopping his limbs up and sealing them into individual scrolls. With this, they would later return to the Leaf to give in their mission report to the Hokage, who we see is currently Tsunade. Along with Tsunade is her head advisor, Hiruzen, the previous Hokage, or the third Hokage, standing smoking his pipe at a window. At first, as they finished their report, Tsunade, the current Hokage, would command them to remove their masks. And even though they are on a social level with the Hokage, the meaning of removing their mask while in Anbu gear would mean that she is forcibly retiring them out of the group. They would all ask her if she had been sure, and she would confirm, as she would list them off one by one. The screeching banshee of Konoha, or Panther, being Sakura Haruno, remove your mask, as the female Anbu would proceed to do so. Along with this, Tsunade would continue. Konoha's Chidori, or the Anbu Crow, Sasuke Uchiha, please remove your mask. He would also proceed to do so. All currently in neutral view. Along with this, she would look over to the last individual in the group as she would say, and last but definitely not least, Fox, or Konoha's Blue Devil, please remove your mask, Naruto Uzumaki. As they do so, they would all at first seem neutral, as they would break into a more social appearance, their postures slacking, and Naruto even walking behind the Hokage's desk, somewhat leaning over the Hokage herself. At first, this seems odd, but he'd say, "Come on, sensei. I want to do something. Give us a mission. Why'd you have to retire us out of the Anbu all of a sudden?" Things were starting to get fun, with Tsunade telling her student to get back on the other side of the desk. Things are currently urgent, as they would hear a knock at the door. Following this, an individual would enter the room, being their prior sensei, Kakashi Hatake. With this, all of them would be excited to see him, as they had been on so many missions that they had neglected him for years factually, and at this point haven't seen him. So this is somewhat of a reunion, but Kakashi would quickly tell them to quiet down, as Tsunade would explain why she had done this. She would continue to tell the group that the current Kazekage from their allying village, the Sand, had just been killed after an attack on their village. Also, along with this, his son, the first Tail Jinchuriki, had also been captured by this group. Them being the only nation currently allied to the Sand, or even the other way around, with the Sand being the only one allied to them, they need to help each other out. And with that, the best group for this decision had actually been the old Team 7, as currently Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi are 4 of the top 5 Jonin / ninja in the village, the only person on that list being my guy, but he is currently on a mission of his own. Also, even though Naruto is a Jinchuriki, and this could be risky since it had been revealed by Jiraiya, another familiar face for the group, that this had been the activity of the Akatsuki, a group that had been interested in capturing all the tailed beast. And so, with this information in hand, the group would proceed to prepare for their current outstanding mission, the one that has been classified not only as a rare S-rank mission, but had also been labeled as urgent. So, they had exactly 30 minutes together at the gate before heading out. This means, unlike the group's usual lazy posture, they had all actually been in a rush, Kakashi having come pre-prepared, knowing that he would be going on a long mission. He would directly head to the gate, as the other 3 would head to their respective homes. We would come to find it surprising, seeing as Sakura being the only one to split off from the group. Naruto, going along with Sasuke, would reveal to us that Naruto had actually been living with his teammate for quite a while, and through common conversation we find out that there was some sort of fallout between Naruto and Hiruzen, explaining Hiruzen's presence in the Hokage office, but also his silence, as he feels he has no longer any say over Naruto or his life. What this exact event is, we don't currently know. But with this, Sasuke would see a note on his pillow. He would pick it up and he would see some writing, as he would find out his sensei or previous master, Jiraiya, had actually been here and had left him a note telling him what to practice on. Obviously, at first, one might think that this means Sasuke has the Rasengan and would probably need to continue practicing on that, but through the contents of the note, we discover that he had actually, instead of going the route of the Rasengan, had learned how to mold and form the Chidori properly, more in a sense of the Rasengan, while Jiraiya had also left him a bow and arrow on his bed. The bow obviously being a brand new compound bow, and the arrows being chakra steel tipped. He would also explain Sasuke should continue learning how to channel chakra through objects he's no longer connected to, and obviously his archery, revealing to us that in the time skip that Sasuke had become somewhat of a both close range, mid-range, and long-range fighter with the presence of a bow, the lightning chakra nature, the knowledge of basic ninjutsu like the fireball, and the extreme offensive capability of the Chidori / Rasengan. On the other hand, we also learned that even though Naruto had studied under Tsunade, him and Sakura had also learned under Jiraiya, Naruto actually being the first to alter the Rasengan shape, with Sasuke taking properties of it under his own wing. Along with this, we find out that Sakura, directly after Kakashi had split away from the group at Chunin, had actually trained under Anko, and since then had actually become really sadistic. And even at the point where she had got that sword, she had only got more akin to it. At first, everyone was surprised, and she was able to use it with a little effort. But then it became like an extension of her own body. And when she learned things like the Rasengan, she had learned very disturbing ways of using it. She had discovered that even though the Executioner's Blade is composed of seals that regenerate with the add of iron, that she is able to channel her chakra through it, creating a somewhat Rasengan type sphere at the tip of the Executioner's Blade, semi-lightening it or making it more aerodynamic as she moved, sometimes even increasing her speed. Obviously, this would give her extreme offensive capability, as this means she would also have a constant of swirling wind blade-like chakra moving across the sword, meaning its piercing capability or slashing capability would become a lot more present. On the other hand, she could use the hole or the executioner's head of the blade to block attacks, which we know is pretty efficient with attacks like the Rasengan being able to even blow away things like kunai and swords. So with this, Team 7 would be off to the sand. But with them heading to their next mission, this part of What If Naruto Had Multiple Personalities will come to a close. So if you had enjoyed and want to see this series continue, make sure to smash like, subscribe, and leave a wonderful comment down below. And with that, this has been SixMysta, leader of the Mysta clan. Peace.
Shake it like it's heat, hold the drive. Coming through now. Coming through now. Coming through, watch where you going, hold the drive.